I want to talk to you about my friend Charlie Crawford. He's a 10-time NFR qualifier.
Charlie Crawford, time to just shake it out and win. Got it on him fast, set
there
up.
We are.
Here's a day
nice
money
run.
lead. You betcha 3-8.
That's an absolute perfect run. Timing was perfect from the time the first swing is up. He's got the control. Charlie made it happen by being timed up with his horse with the steer, and being able to not just rope, but to pick that steer's head up without changing the momentum for the heeler at all.
We know his beautiful wife, Jackie, all three of their beautiful children, the founder of the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation, which this year will exceed $1 million raised for military and first responders. I've said it 1,000 times. Charlie, it's time to rope, nod and ride, whip and spur. I want to welcome you to the Charlie Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to share something with you that I'm very proud of. As a clinician, my goal has always been to give you the tools to get better, and that's exactly what I had in mind when I built my online course, The Basics of Roping. I've got over 2 hours of instruction, everything from a frame-to-frame breakdown of the swing to dummy drills that'll get you ready for just about anything in the arena, plus tips on rope selection and care. Think of it like a clinic you can carry with you. You can pull it up anytime, anywhere, right from your phone or computer. Just head on over to charlycrawford.training, click on the course tab, and get signed up. Let's keep leveling up wherever you are. Hello, everyone. Today we got Arkie Kiehne on the podcast. Arkie was the voice that changed team roping. He was one of the guys that started off with the USTRC, and for anybody in my age bracket, that was the voice we heard, remember growing up. Arkie, thanks for coming on the podcast, partner.
No, I'm glad you asked me to. I don't get invited to very much things anymore.
How's retirement there in Portales been?
Oh, I don't know. You'll have to ask somebody older than me. I never did. I don't consider myself retired. I just quit announcing. I do it once in a while for somebody, but a full-time deal, I've had enough.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun. We actually kind of started in 1989. And at that point in time, Denny Gentry had what they called the New Mexico Team Roping Championships. And you had to be a resident of New Mexico or you couldn't rope in it.
And that's how it started.
Well, kind of, yeah. And prior to that, he actually started having team ropings as a method of getting memberships for the New Mexico Cattle Growers Association. He was the executive secretary, and so he wanted to put these ropings on, but you had to be a member of the Cattle Growers Association in order to rope. So he got a big push of membership. That looked good, and he saw the possibilities of having ropings. So he started the New Mexico Team Roping Championships back in '87 or something like that, and I was there roping, and then in 1990, he actually started USTRC. He phased New Mexico out and went national with it.
Yeah, because that seemed like when I remembered as the number system was back then. If I remembered right, it was started off as a 1, and then I think maybe a 7 and 8 was maybe as high as it went, if I remembered right, when it first originated. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
The 7-header, I think, was the elite, if I remember right, but I couldn't remember.
Kind of pretty high.
Yeah.
And then they went on up a little higher than that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a big deal. It got pushed because it was kind of, if I remembered right, I was still in high school when it started, or maybe just getting started in high school, but seemed like a lot of the associations were off money one, and they're trying to classify some stuff, but it didn't take the hit that like USTRC when they came in. It was one of them that it seemed like it hit pretty good. Like the number system seemed pretty legit, and it was something new that really took off. Because I remember when they were taking off up there in Oregon in the mid '90s, the ropings were going gangbusters up there.
Well, they were, and the number system never was perfect, and it's a long ways from being perfect now. However, my opinion is the greatest classification system is limited entry. Because when you have limited entry, you don't have domination. And it covers up a lot of your classification mistakes, so to speak.
Yeah. Kind of like over the Spicer Grip that limited these ropings. And
yeah,
they're very, very successful.
You know, when I was roping years and years ago, we'd enter some of the pro rodeos against Leo and Gerald and all those guys at that era, Jim Rodriguez, because they was enter once. We thought we had a chance. We really didn't, but we thought we did, you know.
Who was a lot of the guys that you roped with in New Mexico when you guys were jackpotting?
Well, I roped with the Shelley boys, Buster Shelley and Jim Shelley and Daryl Julian and some of the Arizona guys, Rick Stock and his dad, Dallas, who recently passed away, and Doy Reedhead and Walter Grantham, a lot of them Arizona boys. Yeah, a lot of them are gone now, but great guys.
When did you start getting invited to announce the USTRCs, and what year did you start? And where was a lot of locations you started off at?
Well, it's kind of interesting because actually it happened when they were having one of the New Mexico team roping championships. And I was there roping, and Denny come up to me and said, "Did you ever announce team roping before?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, can you do it?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Well, them girls are about wore out." He said, "Would you go up there and help them?" I said, "Sure." So I went up there and helped them. And about 2 or 3 months later, he called me. He says, "Hey, I need to talk to you. We're going to go nationwide with this thing. We're going to call it United States Team Roping Championships." And he says, "I want you to be my announcer."
That was 1990?
Yeah, that's when we had our first national finals.
Yeah.
And a lot of things happened since then. And
where did your gift to gab come from? Because if you just started announcing then, where did your gift to gab come from? Because you...
Well, I don't think there is any such thing. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, where... Charlie, we've been friends for 30 years. But I tell you about Charlie now. When he comes to stay with you, you tell him to go ahead and get 2 or 3 bales of hay when he leaves, because if you don't offer it when he leaves, he'll take 6, and that way you make 3 out of the deal.
You save 3.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, he used to run around with my kid named Ned, and boy, between them two, I had to work a lot.
That's no lie.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
When I first came and stayed and hung out with you guys for Christmas, it was things that I remember to this day. You know, when I grew up, it wasn't the same type of household. You know, when we came in, you're like, "Charlie boy, need you to unkick that burro."
Yep.
I had no idea what that meant. Take your hat off, son.
Yeah. Unsaddle the jackass.
Unsaddle that jackass.
Take your hat off.
And, you know, praying before dinner, you know, you held your wife up on a pedestal, and just the things that when I went there was like, man, I looked up to that so much. It was something that, you know, as I raise our family, that's something, you know, I want Creed to be able to see as well. And it really did change the way I saw a family dynamic. But you know, some of the stories that I even still to this day hold true was when we were driving around Portales there, and he said, "Charlie boy, let me tell you the difference between making a living and making money." And you was telling me all the things that you did. Now, this makes a living. This will pay your bills. This will do this. This will do that. But he said, now making money is way different. And I remember holding that true. You know, when I was rodeoing, the rodeoing kind of was making my living when I was able to win.
Yeah.
But the jackpots, the NFR, that's where I made my money, where I could buy a house or, buy a truck, buy a trailer, you know. So I held on to that to where, you know, even to this day now is being able to make a living and then holding certain things where it makes money. And
well, good.
So
you mentioned our wives. I'd like to compliment you.
Yeah, I went over my head on that one.
Well,
big swing.
You mentioned my wife and so on, and I will tell you, as far as it's concerned, you and I did a lot better job picking than they did. Yeah.
What do they say? They admire their optimism, but they question their judgment.
Oh yeah. But I was going to ask you something along those lines. How does it feel? I mean, you're supposed to be doing the interviews here, but how does it feel to be married to a lady that ropes better than you do?
Well, it's nice.
Oh, okay.
And the fact of, man, I learn a lot. I tell you what she is even more impressive of is her horse training ability.
Yeah.
She is a phenomenal horse trainer.
That's
it's
wonderful.
Great when she comes back home where you got them set of eyes and stuff that kind of can critique you in the right direction and the timing of things. And, Yeah, there's nothing. I go to the clinics now and I announce myself that I used to have my own stats, but now I'm just Jackie Crawford's husband.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's better to be
To be known for something.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Well.
So then announcing just kind of sprung up on you then is what it sounds like. Did you auction?
You know.
You were an auctioneer? What?
Well, yeah, I've sold a lot of auctions all over the country and cow sales and it just kind of went hand in hand, you know. As we go back to the infancy of that thing, I was teaching school in a little school called Reserve, New Mexico, and I was principal there when I was 22. And I used to team rope with a guy named Buddy Major. He was a big cow man, and he put on a rodeo or two. And one day he put this rodeo on there in Daddle, New Mexico, and he had 100 roping steers. And he said, Arkie, when we finish the rodeo, I want you to auction these steers off. I said, well, I don't know how to do that. He said, oh, you can do it. You can do it. So I did, and I kind of got the bug. So I taught for a few years and then went to auctioneer school, and it kind of went with the announcing. And anyhow, when we started the USTRC, well, I was auctioneering 3 or 4 sales a week and announcing for Denny on the weekends. And finally, it got so big and so busy, I couldn't do it all. And the boys wanted to rope, so I quit roping. And man, those were good ropings then. They were inter once, 150 a man. We get 2,000-3,000 teams. Unbelievable.
That is wild.
Yeah, and in the lower number opens, you had to go to the grandstands, find somebody that caught 3 of them to make the short go. They didn't know how to catch 3. But anyway, that started, and pretty soon I got so busy with the announcing and helping with their classifications and other items that I had to quit auctioneering, and I was doing as many as 30 or 40 a year, all over the United States, and met some wonderful people.
I'll bet. Had
some great experiences.
Where did you come up with some of your iconic one-liners?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
The one I remember was, I forget what number it was, and they came out there at the U.S. finals, and they missed one and said, boys, you better get the puke bucket ready out back.
Oh, yeah.
Because these boys just threw out 50 grand right here.
I told them, I said, Southwest Airlines just joined us as part of our sponsorship, and they're sponsoring the puke bags back there at the back end of the arena. Boys, help yourself. I got to tell you a funny story, since you like stories.
Love them.
Okay. I was getting on an airplane in Albuquerque one day, and I see these little old Indian boys with big feathers in their hats, their pants tucked in their boots. They're getting on a plane. So I got to go talk to them. I said, hey, boys, where are you going? We're going to Connecticut's. I said, Connecticut's? Well, what are you doing there? They said, boo riding. I said, really? They have boo riding in Connecticut? Oh, yeah. I said, is it PBR? No, it's Native Americans only. I said, really? So where are you from? They said, we're from Lucachuca, Arizona. You know, where is it? I said, yeah, I know where is it. So this bull riding you're going to, does it pay good money? What's the deal? No, got good prizes. I said, really? What kind of prizes? I said, well, they're giving away a brand new pickup. I said, really? What kind of pickup? Well, it's an F-150, 3/4 ton, 4-wheel drive, GMC pickup. I said, really? Well, boys, good luck, because if you win this pickup, it's going to be the only one like it in Lucachuca, Arizona. A friend of mine on the reservation, his name is Boots Maria. He used to rope with us a lot. Real good friend of mine. He called me one time and he said, hey, Arkie, I got hurt. I said, what's the matter, Boots? He said, I'm in the ER right now. I said, really? Why are you calling me? He said, well, I broke my ACL. I said, really? You broke your ACL? How did you break your ACL? Well, I was riding a horse across the pasture, and I was going 35 miles an hour, and he stepped in a hole and fell on top of me and broke my ACL. 35 miles an hour. I said, how do you know you was going 35 miles an hour, Boots? Oh, I said, you got a speedometer on your saddle horn or what? Oh, no. He said, I ride in the back of a pickup a lot, and I know how much is 35 miles an hour.
Broke my ACL.
Yeah, he broke it. He didn't tear it. He broke it.
I can only imagine the amount of stories you've been able to tell with the amount of team ropings you've been to.
Oh,
How long did you announce for?
20 years.
20 years.
And then 20 years for the U.S. and 5 for World Series.
And how long in the World Series?
5.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of team roping.
Yeah.
That's a lot of team roping.
I saw a lot of accidents. I tell you a funny story. You know about the time that Brokeback Mountain movie came out? You remember that?
Vividly.
Okay. Well, I was in Jackson, Mississippi announcing team roping. And that's about the same time that these colored ropes came out.
Oh, I can see. Yeah, I can see it teeing up.
Yeah. Okay. So I see these guys riding in there with pink ropes. I couldn't help it. I said, folks, can you believe it? Ever since that movie came out, that Brokeback Mountain movie, these guys are coming out of the closet. I had no idea that we had that many gay cowboys. I got some feedback on that, and it was not positive.
That one I bet probably struck a nerve.
Oh, I got another story to tell you. Digger Howard, and he was Mr. Coors. He started all the Coors ropings. Booger Barter had all of his ropings way back then, and Denny Gentry. And they're all fighting for position to see who could be the guru of the team roping world. And I'm announcing up there in Guthrie at the finals. And Gentry comes up to me and he says, now, Arkie, I'm going to be up there with Digger and Booger. We're going to be sitting up there in Section L or whatever it was. He said, now, don't say a word because we're going to try to work out our program where we're not stepping on each other and trying to get along a little better in this team roping world. I said, okay. So I'm sitting there and we're going along and going along and going along. Pretty soon I say, folks, you see them 3 guys up there in Section L? Way up high. See them up there? That's Digger Howard, Booger Barter, Denny Gentry. I said, they're proposing to put a big roping on this next winter down Phoenix. And they're going to name it Denny's Booger Digger. So they all started slapping each other. They all started slapping each other on the leg and having a good time. Later on, they came down and said, dang, we're glad you said that. That broke the ice.
Broke the ice.
Yeah, that broke the ice. We got a lot good.
Well, Denny did have a heck of a vision for team roping, didn't he?
Oh, none like it. None like it. Yeah, you bet.
What do you think it was that had him kind of ahead of the curve?
Well, I don't know, but it worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
It's still working.
Still working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys want to play.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my dad one time years and years ago, I said, Dad, how come so many guys want a team rope? He said, well, they've watched these Western movies. Everybody wants to be a cowboy. Everybody wants to be a cowboy.
Yeah, Yellowstone's made an impact, I know, for a lot of the people I know selling hats and apparel. You know, it's been very popular to be a cowboy again. But I think what's been really, inspiring for our industry is that the amount of teams they had last week in Cheyenne. I mean, it was amazing how many teams they had up there. I've heard the rope companies now, like Classic Ropes, have more orders in now than they've ever had.
And that's something.
It's team roping right now is booming in a good way.
Wonderful.
Which is wild as expensive steers are.
Well, you know, I'll never forget the very first national finals we had in 1990 at the Lazy E. There were guys pulled up there with horses in the back of the pickup with racks on it and their saddle tied to the racks.
Mm-hmm.
There was I don't remember any living quarter trailers.
Mm-hmm.
There was guys that pitched tents.
Yep.
Slept on the ground, slept in their trailer. And that was the infancy of it.
Mm-hmm.
And look what it's developed to now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, now when you go to a roping and the size of the rigs now are
it's crazy.
The price tags of a nice place.
Well, even the junior rodeos and the high school rodeos and the college rodeos, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
The influence that the equine industry has had on all the above.
Mm-hmm.
The pickups, the trailers, the saddles, the ropes, like you just talked about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've heard even saddle sales are up.
Oh, I bet.
When did you start seeing it really evolve? Was there a year that you can kind of remember where you started seeing it evolve, and what do you think attributed to that?
Well, it's hard to say, but in the middle 90s, it just took off, in the middle 90s, and it got stronger and stronger and more.
Do you think it was the money that the ropings were starting to pay?
Well, yeah, that. But, what's interesting, Charlie, is one year at the finals, everybody that had a shootout, I called them and asked them their occupation because I wanted to be able to talk about something. This guy is a helicopter pilot, and he's roping with this guy that's healing. He's a chicken farmer. Or, it was just interesting stuff. And then I categorized it for personal opinion and also to go to sponsorships with, because they're not a bunch of dumb cowboys. And I can't remember exactly, but it was only like 20% of the ropers were actually involved in agriculture. And I threw
20%.
Yeah.
Really?
And I threw horseshoers in there. I took feedlot people. I put cow men, yearling men, chicken men, anything, a truck driver that hauled cattle, anything that had to do with agriculture, I put them in there.
Mm-hmm. And it was still
only 20%.
Wow.
And there was a higher percentage of that of professional people, so to speak, blue-collared workers.
That's a very interesting stat. Yeah.
It was unreal because they all wear the same costume. You assume they're somewhat related.
Well, the one thing that I love about team roping, it is kind of the gulf of our industry. You see a lot of guys that, even if they're bareback riding, bronc riding, bull riding, that Father Time's going to take you away from the sport a lot sooner in that event. We're roping where they have a category for what your ability limit is. There's no age, there's no gender. And so it's kind of the gulf, I think, of the industry. And so I think a lot of people still enjoy the adrenaline rush of riding, love the competition, and the fact that they're roping against somebody that ropes as good as they do, and they're not having to butt heads with the best in the world. I think the model of it is so good for the longevity of our sport.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the only thing that you really have to sell in the classifications business is the theory of I have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't win, 90% of the time it's your own fault. And you're not going to. I can tell you more stories about why I need to get my number lowered than you can.
Because you were in charge of the numbers there for a little while. Or
I helped a lot. Yeah, I helped a lot.
What was some of the dingers that you had that were just awesome?
Well, I'd get a call. Hey, I need to get my lumber lowered. Why? Well, I made it to short go. Well, what happened then? I missed. So if you'd have been a 4 instead of a 5, are you telling me you'd have actually caught that steer? I mean, I've been around this a little bit. Did you ever try practicing? That might be a better job. Or I want my number lowered. I said, okay, well, you've been roping with old so-and-so. You're the best of buddies. You guys have been roping in the number 9 roping for years. Are you wanting to quit him? No. Well, if I lower your number, you guys are still the same. You're still in the same category. Are you wanting to miss for somebody different than him, or what's your deal? If you'd worry more about catching and practicing than worrying about your stupid number, you'd get along a lot better.
You just want to miss for somebody else now?
Yeah. You got you a different victim. Isn't that right?
Yeah. How many of them come in with their bill of health or their
well, we had some of that.
How many of them come in with broken ACLs?
Oh, well, yeah.
I broke my ACL, Arkie. I need my number lowered.
We got to get it lowered. That's going to fix it. But, I'd have, when we, humanely, we'd want to help them a little bit for a while. And I'd say, okay, you're this number. Say you're 6 and you want to be a 5. Yeah. Okay. Well, we can do that. When do you want to start? Well, right now. I said, okay. So you just had shoulder surgery. It's going to rotator cuff. It's going to be 8 months before you can rope, and we're giving you 5 months. So you want the clock to start now, or wait till you're starting roping?
I love it.
Oh, well, call me later.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to take the time to thank all the ropers who've attended one of my clinics this year. I can't tell you how much I've appreciated your support. My goal is that you enjoyed team roping, you're staying safe, and you're getting to the pay window. If you're interested in coming to a clinic this fall, check out charlycrawford.training, click on the clinics tab, and see if I'm headed to an arena near you. If I'm not, and you got a group of ropers that'd like me to head your way, check out my open host clinic dates. Here's what's open for right now. September 5th through the 7th, October 10th through the 12th, October 24th through 26th, November 1st and 2nd, and November 21st through the 23rd. If you're interested in hosting a clinic, head on over to charlycrawford.training, grab the host form from under the clinics tab, fill it out, and send it to me to charlycrawfordtraining@gmail.com. Yeah, I can only imagine some of the amount of testimonies you've heard.
I'll tell you a good one. This guy called and he said, "Hey, old Ray made application to get his number, Lord." I said, "Yeah, I saw that. It's here on my desk. We haven't finished it yet." "Well, is it going to happen or not?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Why?" He said, "Well, he died this morning." I said, "So? What difference does it make what his classification is?" "Well, I can tell you this, Arkie." He said, "If his number's going down, we want the card because he wants to be buried with it. But if it's not going to happen, he don't want the dang thing." You guys taking this number system pretty serious.
I can only imagine.
We had some doozies.
Yeah, there's no winner in that situation.
No, whatever you want, we'll number you.
What were some of the ropers you remembered growing up watching, and you're like, man, those kids are gonna, because that's when I think the USTRC was really started seeing a lot of the kids coming up. Well, we watched Travis Graves grow up. We watched Wesley Thorpe. We watched all those kids that are in the FR now, and a lot of them I don't even know because I've been out of it now for about 10 years, and those guys, they were just kids. They were 10, 12 years old. Now they're opening the FR, and I never even heard of them. But a lot of good kids. Yeah.
Will Woodfin, wonderful kid, does a great job. Watched him come up.
Yeah, I remember the Cardozas, that little clan from out west, when they came up. There was
right.
a group of them. I remember watching the Cooper boys, Jimmy and Jake, and, lighting them up and seeing a lot of those guys coming up and then being successful, having good careers. And, and then it's funny, too, you've seen a lot of the guys back east, you didn't really hear much of them and then showed up and went straight to the top. Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I saw Russell Cardoza, I was doing a roping in Winnemucca. And here's this kid about 14 years old. He wins the open. He win the open. Jerked them all down.
Mm-hmm.
Whap. I said, hey, he's got it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got it. Yeah, it was interesting to watch those kids grow up and learn how to rope and showed me a lot of respect, and I appreciate it.
And I think, too, is that back then, those were all available, I feel like, on VHS tapes, because I remember that was a lot of our Christmas wish list was the BFIs, the U.S. finals, the George Straits. And so, a lot of us went to sleep watching those ropings.
Oh, yeah.
And, they were put on such a pedestal, especially the U.S. finals, and to get that win throughout the year so you can get qualified, and roping in the shootouts. Those were big deals.
The only major roping that I never did get to announce was the Wendy Ryan. But I did the George Strait for 14 years,
mm-hmm.
and I did a lot of those big ropings and had a lot of fun.
Man, how good were those ropings? Golly.
Man.
The payouts, the sponsors, the fact that George Strait, the king of the Cowboys, that was involved in team roping. And
wonderful guy. Did I tell you, you want to hear a Dakota story?
Yeah, of course.
Kirchenslager.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a little bitty guy. He was about 8 years old. He was going to all our ropings because his mom and dad was. And he'd enter the kids' dummy roping and he'd wax them. So I saw him. I was up there in Colorado somewhere, Wyoming, and that's team roping. I saw him sitting over on the fence. So when I got down, I went over and talked to him. I said, hey. He said, what? I said, Dakota, are you getting in the kids' roping? He said, yeah, sure. He wouldn't stare at me. He wouldn't even look at me. He's staring out in the arena. I said, well, what time's it start? He said, 2:00. I said, how do you know? Arkie said. I said, really? Who's Arkie? Oh, he's that guy that runs all around the country moving everybody's number up. So I had to get a hold of his mom and dad and say, is this real? What have you been teaching that dang kid anyway?
That's funny.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, he grew up being one of the guys too, young kid, doing really good early, and boy, his horse training has become very phenomenal as well.
Oh yeah,
him and Tate.
Dang right.
Tate has really, between the two of them, they've been doing a great job.
Good.
So, where did your joke ability coming from? Was this something that the Kiehnes kind of had in their family? Because you guys all cracked everybody up.
Well, I don't know.
Was your dad funny?
No, he was very serious, and what's really kind of sad is now that I'm getting in my late 70s, all those disgusting things that the old men used to do, go to bed early, get up early, tell the same stories over and over again and couldn't remember names. Now I is one of them.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went over there to Spicer Grip just a little bit earlier to go watch the 12 roping, and I went over there to when I'm riding a horse that I just started seasoning. I brought him through the futurities, and so I'm kind of getting him used to everything and seasoning him out right now. And I went over to T Woman and started shooting the bull with T, and his horse just pinned his ears back and tried to bite mine as soon as I walked up there to him.
Just like T.
And I said, man, they say that there's a lot too that the horse's personality will take up after the owner. And right about then, my horse reached over and bit his, and I said, well, I have more gray hair, so I guess I can see where mine's starting to kind of take on mine as well.
Exactly. Was Reed there?
Reed was there.
Yeah.
He was knocking it out.
I'll never
That's another
forget.
voice of team roping.
We were flying into Las Vegas one time to do big team roping, and we looked down there and you could see the lights, is dark. He rubs his hands together and he says, dang, Arkie, he says, I hope I break even. I need the money.
That's so spoken like a true jackpot team roper right there.
Yeah, he was just,
that's a T-shirt.
He was just
that's a T-shirt.
Referring to the gamble. Fred Lucero. You want to hear a Fred story?
Absolutely.
Okay. Everybody knows Fred Lucero. If you don't, he won't mean nothing to you.
Walk us through what Fred did in the industry.
Well, first of all,
just to catch everyone up that's not at the park.
Fred Lucero was the king of the border. He crossed more Coriani cattle in the history of the industry than anybody. And we were good friends. So when we first started the Super Looper magazine, we'd have an ad for a certain roping somewhere, and it'd give you all the information about the roping, etc. And most of them were pre-enters back then.
That's right.
And that was good. And then it'd say the producer, and it'd say TBA, to be announced, TBA. So he'd call me all the time and he'd say, hey, what about this Steve Judd guy? Or what about this guy over here, Nady Johnson? Or what about this guy? You got his phone number? I want to sell him some cattle. So he called me one time. He said, who's this guy, TBA? He puts a lot of ropings on, but I don't know who he is. I don't got a phone number for him.
That was a character, wasn't he?
Oh.
I remember me and Ned ran down there one time at the border when he was crossing some, and went and worked for him for a little bit. And man, what a character.
Right. He knew everybody. I was in Vegas before the South Point was built. Gong had an arena outside of town. Jerry roping that one.
Was that over there? What they call that place? The Lucky Seven.
Yeah,
the
I think so.
Out there, where the college had their.
I was there. Linda Davis was sitting up there with me. She's timing, and this was when cell phones first kind of come out. No caller ID. You had to dial the numbers, and you could redial them, I think, but you couldn't identify who's calling. No caller ID. So I told Linda, I said, watch this. He's fixing to ride in the box. So Fred, he's riding in the box, getting ready to heel. And just as he backs in, I ring his phone. You can hear it ringing in that old building. And he's chasing the steer. He's getting ready to heel. And you can hear his phone ringing in his pocket. And he's grimacing. You ought to see the look on his face because he's really wanting to answer that phone. And he threw it in the dirt and he cussed and he jerked his rope back and he's loping out of the arena, and I dialed it again. And he's cussing. You can hear that these damn phones don't work in this building. He goes on and on and on. So I wait a while and I call him again when he's back coming around, and I start talking to him in Spanish. I can talk Spanish pretty good. So I start talking to him in Spanish and telling him that I was from Mexico and I was wanting to sell him some steers. And I was afraid, I was tired of him screwing us, and I wanted more money for my cattle because I know he's making a lot of money on them. I never did tell him that I did that to him.
I remember a long time ago when I was working for Tyler Magnus. I worked with Brett Whitson, and him and Mike Macy were good buddies, and they would just hound each other all the time. Mm-hmm. And I forget, Macy pulled something on Brett one time, so Brett called there and post at the nickel ads and run an ad out there for the first 100 callers. They would get free goats away for the first 100 callers, and he put Macy's number down there.
Oh, my gosh.
It just blew his number up.
Never quit calling. Oh, yeah.
What were some of the announcers that, I know that you mentored a lot of them, a lot of them came up under, I know Farron Lucero give you a lot of credit for coming up underneath of you, and he's done him and Ben Clemens, I think, have both talked so much about you and give a lot of credit for a lot of the stuff that you've helped them learn how to do.
Well, we lived in Portales. We still do. There's a college there, and Farron was going to school there. So he'd come out, hang out. He'd say, Arkie, I want to learn how to announce. He's taking sports broadcasting or something there in Portales. And I said, well, okay, come go with me. So that kind of started it. And when we were doing one where I'd drive, I'd take him with me. One time I was going down to Odessa. I said, Farron, I'll pick you up. Okay, come with me. So he jumped in and I said, I think you need to drive, not me. Oh, I can't. I can't drive. I said, what do you mean you can't drive? Well, he said, I made a mistake. I got a DUI the other day and they took my license away from me. I said, what I need you for, Farron? But anyway, interesting. Some of the high officials of the USTRC, when I took him with me down to the Rose Palace, put him in Arena 2, they said, get that boy off that microphone. He's never going to make it. I said, really? Got to give him a chance. So that's my Farron story. He's done good.
Done well.
Yeah.
Very well. I enjoy him. He keeps good electricity in the room.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoy it. What I see him doing, what you've done a good job of too was, like when I watched the World Series finals in Vegas, that's what I tell all the guys, like at my clinics and stuff. I said, man, and you make it to that level, you got to understand, you can feel the tension in the whole arena. You can cut it with a knife, and it's designed for that.
Sure.
Because when you are able to create that, if you hit it just right, you'll blow the roof right off the building. That is because the announcer is able to put that energy in the arena.
Right.
But then when they just hit one in the back of the head or the back of the butt or whatever they do, it also lets the air out of the arena. That's also the energy that an announcer creates that I think that you've done such a good job, and Farron has done a very well job with it as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that's pressure for ropers that they've got to learn how to deal with, because that's an entertainment value.
I started the music thing actually in Pasco. I started the music thing there in the short rounds.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But then it kind of got carried away. It's too loud and it's annoying. But the last few times that I did the George Strait, I enjoyed the sound of silence. The sound of silence.
That's back where you can feel the tension, and you can cut that knife with a knife.
These guys can be 7-3 for $250,000. Sounds like a lot more money than $250,000.
When you do that, in my opinion, it pulls you right on the edge of that seat.
Oh yeah, everybody's there. You can hear a pin drop. Mm-hmm. You're right. Ben Clemens, he was going to Odessa school, and he came and he'd sit with me at those ropings, and he wanted to learn how. And it's kind of funny there at Odessa. because he's really computer savvy and I'm dumb. Well, about the time we went to the computers instead of writing it by hand, he was there and he was sitting there, and I was trying to teach him how to do the computer, and he said, "No, I think this is better." And dang, if he wasn't right. But anyway, I said, "Well, what do you think, Ben?" He said, "Okay." So we had a little break, and I said, "Here's the microphone. I'm leaving you dance." So I just threw him in the water, and he got along good.
I've always liked Ben.
Always a wonderful guy.
Good job. He does a good job with his announcement. He does a good job with putting on his ropings as well. He was telling me a story. What was the line that you had when you start the short rounds? So this is like Lorraine and Bob. This won't take long. What would remember that one? Remember that one?
Well, you remember the Lorena Bobbitt thing.
Yeah. How did you tee that off in the short rounds?
You get down to the end of it, and I said, "Well, it's like the Lorena Bobbitt story. It's not going to take long now. It won't be long now."
Ben was telling me that he heard you tell that story when he was in high school. Well, he was a valedictorian in high school, and so during graduation, they had him get up there and take a speech.
Me that. Yeah.
And he had to do a speech, and he was talking about all the things that he had done and everything, and then right there at the end, he come with your Lorena Bobbitt story. He said, "Well, one thing about it, like Lorena Bobbitt, it won't take long." Well, and he said,
"No, it won't be long.
It won't be long. It won't be long. That's right. It won't be long."
Well,
he told me that you had the ability to be able to tell those stories, and everyone thought it was funny. And when he would do the same thing,
he got in trouble.
He got in big trouble.
Well, I told him and Farron and Jet Sharp and Andy Seiler and those guys that I kind of helped mentor and get started, and they're all doing a good job. I said, "Guys, I want to warn you. I can say and do a lot of things that you may not get away with."
How did you learn that ability? Because it's passed down to Ned.
Well, I don't know nothing about Ned.
This Ned and I, when we went to college, I remember this big giant guy walked by with his muscles bulging out of his shirt, and he walked by, and we were just sitting there, not doing, not getting in any trouble at all. And then he walked by, and Ned goes, "Boy, so much you better walk by, or I'm gonna whip his ass." Well, this guy heard it. And he turned around and said, "What'd you say?" He said, "You look thirsty. You look like I could buy you around." He said, "I thought you said you were going to whip my ass." He goes, "No, that was Chuck."
Oh, Charlie.
He got out of it. Yeah.
Speaking of Chuck, your old daddy used to help me with the classifications up there in Oregon. Yeah. That's when we'd call guys and get their opinions, and I think it was very legit that we did the classifications that way.
It seems very hard up there in the Northwest because, a lot of times they'll classify them on how much they win, and I think that's a difficult situation in certain places when the teams aren't very high, because you might win second and third with a leg, and then you try to take them same winnings in Texas when there's 300 teams, you win second and third there, you're doing something because no legs are going to win nothing. And, that's where sometimes it can be tricky, it seems like, in certain areas to keep the numbers in, level, and that seems like that's a.
Well, there was a guy from there. There was a guy there from Portales that was going to college there, and he went up to the World Series Finals, and he won $80,000. Won the roping. He come back, and my phone kept ringing. "Aren't you going to get his number moving?" I said, "Why? He just won a roping. It's just another roping." I said, "He went to 87 ropings this year, placed in 2. Mm-hmm. Just happened to hit the right one."
Right.
So should we penalize him?
Right.
No, he got along good.
Mm-hmm.
Proud of him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You got to use a little judgment there.
Mm-hmm. This episode is brought to you by Corvive. Corvive has a great line of products that I believe in and use every day. Their product Hydrate isn't just for quenching your thirst. It's packed with vitamin C and zinc to give your immune system a little extra boost, especially in this Texas heat. I don't do a clinic, podcast, or a pre-workout without their product Energy. It keeps me locked in, it's convenient, effective, and it tastes great. Jackie and I drink it all the time. I drink it before I compete, and it's really good for those all-night drives. I don't have a post-workout without their protein. It's grass-fed, packed with collagen, peptides, amino acids, and has no chalky aftertaste. It's a great meal replacement or a way to rebuild after a hard workout. Core Renew covers all your gut health needs in just a single daily serving. New customers get 10% off their order by going to corvive.com/Crawford. See the podcast description for the link, or check the link in my bio on all my social media channels. When you got to announce quite a bit with Reed.
Oh yeah,
Reed was another iconic team rope, and I feel like you and his voices is going to be, known for when you hear that, you almost remember like your first like for me, you almost remember your first jackpot you ever entered. Reed's
as good a friend as I ever had. Yeah.
He's done a good job with the rodeo video. I grew up falling asleep watching with The Winning Edge, and all the videos that used to come out.
Absolutely. Reed's a wonderful guy, wonderful family man. Does a good job.
Yeah, and he's still announcing, man. It's when I go to the Spicer Grip and hear his voice again, it just takes me back.
Yeah, he's tougher than I am. He's still going.
What have you been what have you been doing? You've been trading some cattle around? You still auctioneering? What have you been doing?
I do a little bit of auctioneering, not very much, just when somebody's sick or can't be there. I go to Roswell on Mondays and Clovis on Wednesdays, and I buy cattle on order for other people. Buy quite a few cattle with and for Johnny Trotter at Bargee Feed Yard. Other people. I generally get 300 to 500 cattle a week on order sitting at the sale barn.
How about how good the cattle market's been and how green the grass is around here?
Well, it's absolutely fabulous. We've never seen either any better. We've never seen the market this good. We've never seen
grass is green.
Grass is green. So the combination is fabulous right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, Arkie, I appreciate you so much for everything you've done for me growing up, and just to hear all the stories and to kind of reminisce a little bit on how everything got started. And I think so many guys that listen to this that grew up roping remember exactly the first time they heard your voice. It's probably the first jackpot they entered.
Cool. Well, when you come by Portales, come stay with us and get you a couple of 3 bales of hay when you leave.
I will, and some green chili.
Yeah, we got that too.
Yeah.
All right, Charlie, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.